welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be 3 looks with the Beauty Bay Reckless Romance palette. I have never tried Beauty Bay before, and I've been hearing more and more things about their palettes and how good they are. So when I saw the Reckless Romance palette, I knew immediately this was going to be the palette that I try out from them. So in today's video, I'll be inserting in some swatches, doing 3 looks like I just said, and just doing a first impression on this palette. I'm really excited to try this brand out. So if you like eyeshadow videos, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I would love it if you stuck around. But with all that, I'm gonna scoot you in closer and we're just gonna get started with look number 1. All right, so this is what the palette looks like. Normally, I believe that Beauty Bay comes out with a color story and then they release it in 3 different formats, like a giant one, a medium one, and then a small 9-pan. But this time they just released this size, which I'm not mad about. It is 20 shades and it retails for $22, and there are 12 mattes, 8 shimmers. Now, when I first saw this, I immediately thought of the Huda Beauty Rose Gold Remastered palette. I haven't opened it to compare it yet. I probably will at the end when I do my final thoughts, just to see how correct I am, because maybe I'm way off. But I'm going to insert in some swatches now. And something that I was surprised about when I did my swatches is that the mattes seem very buildable, which is a great thing, because I was a little bit worried when I received this palette on just how dark the mattes are. So I was thinking that this was going to be a very one-note palette, that I was really only going to be able to get dark, smoky, grungy looks out of it. And it does seem that maybe if I want to go a little bit lighter, I can. So hopefully that's the case. That's what we're going to test out today. So let me just first I'm just going to clip my hair like this, I think. And I'm thinking for the first look, I maybe do want to go smoky, kind of like it's intended, and play with this Rockstar shade and maybe some of the grays more, and then we'll go from there. I try to like plan all 3 looks at one time and I get ahead of myself. I'm going to start off with Rockstar. It's kind of the lightest gray in the palette, and I'm going to start by kind of just shaping out my crease, and I'm really lightly just tapping and placing because I want to see how buildable these shadows are, and I don't want to get too out of hand too quickly. Now, I do have my Nars Soft Matte Concealer laid down, and I have it powdered just so it's not too sticky. And of course, any of the makeup that I'm wearing is always listed down in the description box. I do prefer a little bit more of like a rounded eye versus a cat eye, because I already have naturally, I think, pretty almond shaped eyes, at least in my opinion. So I prefer to try to open them up a little bit, which is why you're gonna see me go a little bit higher. So now I'm gonna take just a wispier brush, go in with the shade number 1, just like that cream color. I'm going to blend out that gray, just diffuse it before I go in with any other shades here. Just make sure that edge is nice and blended. Now I'm gonna go in with the mid-tone gray using the first brush that I had. I'm going to start to deepen up this outer corner, again, kind of just using like a tapping method. I do want this to be like kind of grungy, smoky, but not overly grungy, smoky. Grungy, smoky for me. These mattes are really nice though. They are, just like I expected, a lot more buildable. They're not just laying down heavy pigment all at once. So you do have some play with these. There we go. I think that that's looking kind of how I want it to look. Just deciding if I want to use two shimmers. Like, do I want to go in with this silver as well and this purple, or do I just want to stick with the purple? I'm thinking I kind of want to do both. Like maybe lay this silver down and then put this in the center. I think I'm going to do that. And I don't think I'm going to lay down my NYX glitter primer. I'm just going to go in because these shimmers, they don't seem like they need it. They're not like that really flaky indie texture. So I'm just going to go in, and I can always try it a different way with look number 2. And I do want to keep this kind of thin since I'm going to go in with that purple and have the purple kind of be the color of the look. That's exactly what I wanted. So now I'm going to go into Rockstar and just kind of put that in the center, blend it out. Kind of like that, have them fade into each other. And then because I have the purple on, I think I'm gonna go in with Front Row and use this on the lower lash line. I'm gonna put it really, really close to the lash line, and then I'm gonna blend it out with maybe Fling. Hopefully that's light enough, or I'll blend it out with this if I'm feeling like this is just too much. Let's just kind of play it by ear and see how bright this shade is. But then we have a little bit more purple tying this in. Not terrible. I think I'm gonna go in with the cream though, just to play it safe. And I'm just gonna use the brush I used the first time. I'm gonna take Encore now and use that as an inner corner. I think it needs it. I do like the purple on the lower lash line though. I definitely can't live without my inner corner highlight. And then lastly, I think I'm gonna just use the black in here, Leather, to line my lash line. And I am gonna line it and maybe smoke it out a little bit. I haven't decided, but that's kind of what I'm thinking I'm gonna do, just to get a little bit more smokiness from that. So I'm gonna go a little bit more haphazardly than I normally do when I line. Kind of smudge it out a little bit. I'm just gonna kind of try to clean this up so my eye looks a little bit more lifted. The powder might not be enough to combat the black. I might have to go in with a makeup wipe or concealer, but at least this will give me an idea of the shape. So here's look number 1 before mascara and all that. I'll do that after I finish the second look. For the second look, I think I want to play more with the pinks, kind of do like a very pink Valentine's Day look. Usually look number 3 I reserve as like the most neutral, quote, wearable look, only because I'll be putting that on both eyes. So I really want to save this shade for look number 3. So I'm thinking we'll use After Party. We'll definitely use this one. Yeah, let's just start with that and go from there. And let's see. So I'm gonna go in first with Rebel, and again, just kind of carve out where I want this all to lay while my eyes are straight, looking open. And again, blending that out with number 1. That's kind of like the only blending out shade I like. Now going in with a fair, on the outer corner here. Just a little bit. Add this to the lower lash line just in the corner while I'm at it. Just taking whatever extra was kind of on my brush. I'm going to quickly add fling to the other half of my lower lash line, just so I can try out a lot of different mattes. Normally I probably just would have gone in with the crease, but that's okay. We can try different shades. This is just a little bit cooler too. I think it'll tone down maybe like the pink eye effect. Perfect. And now it is shimmer time. So I'm going to go into, oh, do I want to go into After Party or Muse? This really hot pink. Let's see. I'm kind of wanting to switch it up and maybe go in with this, with Muse. Let's do that. If it doesn't turn out good, oh well. Applied really well with my finger, so that's what I'm gonna go in and do. I don't know if that's the right like tone that I was going for. Maybe Rockstar or After Party would have been better. But we can kind of fade it, just like we did with look number 1. Add a little bit of After Party on top. After Party almost feels like a Super Shock. It's very creamy, whereas Muse does not. It feels more like a traditional shimmer. Perfect the shimmer where I want with a brush, and so I can kind of really shape out how high I want this to go. And I'm thinking maybe brown liner this time instead of black, just to keep it a little bit softer, or I'll go in with like this shade, which is Paparazzi, this really plummy, chocolatey shade. I'm gonna try and keep close to the lash line. All right, so I added mascara after lining with that Paparazzi shade. So both look number 1 and look number 2 are complete. So here they are, look number 1 and then look number 2. Actually quite like both of them. These are not something that I usually go for on like a day-to-day, but I'm pretty happy with what I came up with. They're both different. I always do a better job on this eye, so I feel like sometimes I gravitate more towards this eye, not because of the colors I used, but because I just like how my eye looks more. Of course, I still have look number 3 to do, so let me take both of these off and we'll get started. All right, look number 3 is gonna be to see how kind of neutral leaning we can go. So I'm going to be using number one, sorry. I'm going to use this in the crease, which is Soulmate. Use Girlfriend all over the lid. I will probably use this as liner and to deepen it up. Not too much because I want to keep it nice and light. That's my plan so far. So let's just get started. I'm going to take number 1 and just lay that down all over the lid here. I still re-primed with my Nars Soft Matte Concealer after I took those 2 looks off. But I kind of just want to have a little bit more color, because when I go in with Soulmate, which I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna use a wispier brush, and usually I kind of use a stiffer brush to map out my crease. But this time I'm gonna kind of do more windshield wipers because I want to keep it nice and light. I don't want to pack on too much pigment. And I am gonna add Soulmate to the lower lash line just at the same time. Now going into Love Song, it's kind of a warm brown. I'm just gonna deepen it up just very, very little. I'm liking how soft and romantic this is looking. I'm just gonna kind of add it very much like a V in the crease here and then down just like that. Now it's time to go into Girlfriend, which again kind of has like that Super Shock texture, and it's just my favorite type of shade. I love these shades that kind of just have like that very light translucent base almost with sparkle, and I'm really just gonna put this all over the lid. I did of course take Love Song, that brown, when I was putting that in the outer corner, and I put it just a little bit in the corner on the lower lash line as well, just to connect it. And now that I kind of have this laid down with my finger, I'm gonna perfect it with a brush here. I don't think these pick up the best with a brush, only because it is like that Super Shock kind of putty texture. But just to like perfect it is fine. I just think like if you're someone who likes to go in with a brush to apply their shimmers, you don't like to use your fingers, I don't know if you'd like the texture of these shimmers. I just kind of like to make sure the shimmer goes everywhere that maybe I couldn't reach, like this inner corner part here, and like right in that fold. Perfect. This is turning out exactly how I wanted. I don't know if I want to put liner. I don't think I do. I think I kind of just want to leave it like this. So I'm going to add mascara and show you the final look. I added mascara, I added a lip, and this is the third and final look. I'm really, really loving this. You know, sometimes when you watch a lot of videos on YouTube, you kind of get sucked into a rabbit hole in the beauty community. You think you have to do more, but like sometimes simple's just better. Like I love the simplicity. I love how romantic this is, how soft it is. I love everything about this look. Of course, I'd love to hear which look you liked the most, 1, 2, or 3, but I'm gonna go rummage around in my drawers, pull out some palettes maybe, specifically the Huda Beauty Rose Gold Remastered, and gather up my thoughts, and we'll go over them together. After looking through my drawers, I really think the only similar one that I had was the Huda Beauty Rose Gold Remastered palette. So this is an old palette. It was one of Huda Beauty's first palettes. So I don't know if you still have this or if you decluttered it by now or if it was just one you never picked up. But this is what this palette looks like. It's very beautiful. I still love this palette. And here it is compared to the Beauty Bay Reckless Romance. I'm not going to say they're exact dupes, but you can definitely see the similarities between the two, especially in the Beauty Bay, the first top 2 rows. Now, this does lean a little bit more grungy, a little bit more smoky. This you're going to get a lot more everyday looks out of. It definitely doesn't go as deep. So if you prefer lighter, more daytime, I keep saying that, but I mean that with a grain of salt, then you might like this palette more, even though it's not like the new shiny thing, but this is excellent formula and I still love this palette. But let's now go over my thoughts on the Beauty Bay palette. I have to say, I'm like very, very impressed. I'm really happy that I picked this up. This palette's also, side note, less expensive than the Huda. I mean, for $22, like you really can't get any better for the quality. The mattes are just so versatile. I like to call them beginner-friendly mattes when they need a little bit of building up, not an overly amount where you're just sitting there tapping, 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 trying to get color payoff, but enough where you don't just put your brush down and immediately you're like, oh no, what did I just do? I'm about to give myself a black eye. You can build this up even though it looks so dark and smoky in the palette. Now, I did use most of the shades. I think the only ones I didn't use was the gold. I didn't use Fishnets, the shimmer here. And then I think the last one I didn't use was Tattoo. So only 3 shades out of 20. I tried the rest of them. So I tried the 17 shades and I had no problems with any of them. Some of them, most of them, even just looking at them in the pan, you can see the shimmers, like I said, kind of just have like that putty texture. This was the only one that I tried personally, which is Muse, that had more of a traditional shimmer texture, but no fallout with any of them. Really easy to apply. I do think fingers is the better way to go. That's my preference, but even if you prefer a brush, I think you're gonna have trouble picking it up on a brush. And overall, like, I'm just really happy I picked up this palette. It makes me kind of want to go on the Beauty Bay website and pick up other palettes from them. However, I did kind of like look around when I picked this up, and none of the other ones are really my color story. So I think I'm gonna hold off. The only one that really kind of caught my eye was the neutral one, but I don't need another neutral palette. So I'm gonna wait, but I definitely 100% am going to be keeping an eye on Beauty Bay palettes in the future because I'm just like blown away. Now I see what everyone's talking about. Even with like the buzz that I heard surrounding this brand, I think it's a slept on brand. I think that we're still gonna see more of a just boom from this brand because I think that, you know, TikTok hasn't discovered it yet. It hasn't like had its viral moment that it really needs to have. And I hope that this one just pushes it over the edge and more people find out about Beauty Bay because it took me a while to try this palette. And I've known that Beauty Bay had palettes for a while. I just kind of always, you know, had it like second or third on my list of palettes that I wanted. Something else always kind of beat it out, so I never really prioritized it. And I'm glad that I finally did. This was so easy to work with. It really was. It was just a joy. So overall, happy with my purchase. You know, I've mentioned this in a few other videos, but I am like on a semi-low buy. I'll link my video down below where I talk about it more, but I'm only allowing myself 1 palette purchase per month. And this was my first palette purchase of the year. Definitely worth it. I am not disappointed at all. Of course, I still have other palettes from 2023 that I haven't even tried yet. So I'm still, you know, up to my eyeballs in palettes, but this is the first one I purchased this year. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy to just play with this some more. Of course, I will be pulling it into a palette ranking once I test it out more, try out all the shades, come up with some different looks, and then I come together with like 10 palettes or so and just rank all my palettes I've done first impressions on. So make sure you're subscribed if you like that kind of content. However, like, I'm gonna just stop raving and raving and raving about this palette. I would love it if you let me know down below in the comments, like, did you already know? Am I the last to the party figuring out how great this brand is? Or is it something like me where they kind of just been pushed on the side? Like, it's been on your radar, but other things are just more exciting, so you don't end up picking it up. Because if you're like that, I'm telling you, like, find a color story that you like, wait for a color story that you like, and pick it up. Because I'm exceptionally happy where I'm having trouble forming sentences. That's how happy I am with my eye look today. But that's all that I have for you all. I hope you enjoyed this video, enjoyed the looks, enjoyed the swatches. This is where I'm going to leave you all, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.